The floor came up fast, then slowed, as if it had reconsidered. I remember the hum of lights more than the pain. Someone said my name with the wrong confidence. The way people do when they're trying to keep a situation from tipping into something worse. I thought briefly that I should apologize for the trouble. When I woke, there were numbers on a screen doing their quiet arithmetic. Tubes made my arms feel borrowed. A nurse asked me questions I could answer only because I've answered them before. Name, date, where I was. She asked who to call. My parents, I said. It felt automatic, like writing a return address you don't check anymore. They doctors called again. Left messages. Called the house line that still exists for reasons no one can explain. Nothing. I told myself it was traffic. Or work. Or that they were already on their way and the timing was off by minutes that mattered. By the second day, the hospital had a rhythm that didn't include them. Consent forms were placed in front of me with a pen that had been wiped down too carefully. The nurse explained what the machines were doing as if she'd learned to explain absence too. I nodded. I signed. I learned how to sip water without pulling the line. It was while I was drifting, awake but not present, a thin place, when my phone lit up. My sister had tagged me in a photo. The picture was bright in a way hospitals never are. My parents sat on a bench, my sister between them. All three smiling into a sun I couldn't feel. The caption read Family Day without the drama. I didn't move. I didn't swipe. The nurse came in and adjusted something, said my name, asked if I needed anything. I shook my head. It was inventory. Something in me was rearranging, quietly, the way furniture does in a house you're about to leave. Days went by. I learned the difference between fatigue and weakness. I learned that the body heals in increments. Small enough to miss if you're waiting for a milestone. I learned the schedule of my own vitals. The doctors talked about stress as if it were a weather pattern, something we all live under and pretend we can predict. I didn't call home. I didn't text my sister. Silence felt less dangerous than the wrong words. On the fourth night, my phone buzzed until the screen dimmed. When I looked, there were missed calls stacked in a column that made my chest tighten, not from worry but from recognition. 74. The voicemails escalated the way they always do: brisk concern, confusion, irritation, urgency. The text from my dad sat at the bottom like a command you don't see until it's already been read by habit. We NDU. Answer immediately. Need. Not how are you, not we're coming. Need, as in function. As in resource. As in the way a machine needs a part replaced. Without thinking twice, I didn't answer. The next morning, a social worker stopped by, with a clipboard, and a voice that knew how to be without being unkind. She asked about my support system. I said I was handling it. She asked again differently. I told her the truth in pieces: that my parents had been notified, that they hadn't come, that they were calling now because they wanted something. She didn't react. She wrote, "We can note your contact preferences," she said, "and we can limit who receives updates unless you authorize it. Please." I said, and surprised myself by how steady it sounded. Later, my phone rang from an unfamiliar number. It was my workplace, HR, calm and careful, explaining medical leave and documentation and boundaries. They told me they'd redirected inquiries about my condition back to them, per policy. It wasn't dramatic, it was procedural. It was relief. In the afternoon, my sister finally texted. It was long and apologetic in the way apologies are when they're also defenses. She said she hadn't known how bad it was. She said our parents were worried. She said they needed help with something complicated and time-sensitive. She didn't say what. I typed and erased. Typed again. Erased. I settled on a sentence that felt both insufficient and true. I'm focusing on getting better. Please coordinate through HR if there's something work-related. She didn't reply. The call slowed. Then stopped. I slept without dreaming for the first time in weeks. When I woke, the room felt bigger, as if a weight had been removed that I hadn't admitted was there. Recovery was not cinematic. It was small victories: standing without swaying, keeping food down, learning to breathe around the anxiety that showed up late. Like an uninvited guest who knows where the spare key is. A doctor sat on the edge of my bed and said I'd been lucky. I thought of luck as proximity. As who shows up. When I was discharged, I went home alone. I made soup and ate half of it. I put my phone face down and left it there. Messages came later. Emails this time, carefully worded, concerned in tone, asking for calls. I didn't respond right away. I wasn't punishing anyone. I was resting. Weeks passed. I returned to work part-time. The building smelled the same. The lights hummed. People asked how I was and accepted my answer without needing details. It felt like respect. At home, I considered what would come next. There would be conversations eventually. Or there wouldn't. Either way, the rule had changed. Care, I had learned, isn't proven by need. It's proven by presence. By who comes when there's nothing to be gained. I still don't know what my parents needed that day. I know only that when I was vulnerable, they chose elsewhere, and when they were pressed, they chose me. The difference matters. Sometimes my phone lights up with a number I recognize. Sometimes it doesn't. I let it ring more than I used to. I listen to my body now. To the quiet signals that say enough, not yet, no, I am getting better. Not all at once. Not cleanly, but in ways that feel like my own.